Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates here, celebrity interviewer, entertainment reporter, and the host of this podcast, Rave It Up. Celebrity news, reviews, and interviews. If this is the first time you're listening, go check out our show's trailer on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to learn more about us. And make sure to follow us on social media to tell us what else you would like to hear from this podcast. We are under Rave It Up TV on Instagram, Rave It Up Show on Facebook, and our website is raveituptv.com. Now today, we have a chat to Australian singer Taylor Henderson, who you may remember on Australia's Got Talent in 2010 and The X Factor in 2013. We have a chat to him about both of those shows and why he went on to talent shows. Also about his transition to an independent artist from being with a label. And also how he has dealt with COVID, especially since he was on tour just before the outbreak. Talk about bad timing, right? There's so much to cover, so let's get into it now.
3, 2, 1.
Let's do this.
Rave it up.
Hey guys, it's RJ May from Breaking Bad.
Adam Savani from Step
It's
Up.
Keegan Allen from Pretty Little Liars.
Hi, this is Arthur Buttrose.
Cosentino.
Rob Mills.
Todd McKenney with Lauren Yates on Rave It Up.
Raving it up.
Rave it up.
Fun.
Hashtag Lauren Rave It Up.
Sorry.
Thank you, I like that
I heard
effect.
raving. We're raving it up.
Taylor, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show today. How you going?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How you been?
I have been fantastic, and as I said just before we started recording, it's just a privilege to have you on now, when we've got really nothing else to do, right? Because I have been wanting you on the show for ages.
Thanks. No, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been crazy, with everything that's going on. So, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So, yeah.
In a weird way, it's a bit of a blessing because now we have time to chat. I know, before COVID, to get you on was really, really hard because you were so busy.
I know. Now you know me for a couple of hours.
Yeah. It's how long do you have for this interview? You got me for as long as you need.
Yeah.
Now, since this is your first time on the show, Taylor, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better and actually start from the beginning, if that's okay, to get a good idea of how you've made it to where you are today. It's always so much hard work involved. So, was music what you always wanted to do as a career, or did you have other careers in mind when you were younger? Because I did read online that you've also worked as a labourer with your father. Is that correct?
Correct. So music wasn't really on the cards, to be honest. I didn't study it at school. I didn't do it as a subject in my final years in high school. Music really was just sort of a hobby for me. And because my dad is such an incredible singer, I'd always just sing around the house with Dad. But kind of when school finishes and, you just sort of are brought up with that mentality of okay, got to put this aside and get a real job. So I did a couple other weird things though. So I worked with Dad for 2 years. I was a second year apprentice, and I was I was working with him, and I loved it. I love architecture, and the Dad's attention to detail with building and everything is really quite impressive. So I used to love understanding that because he's a master builder. But I also did some other weird things. My first ever job, I was actually an egg collector.
What?
And I was an egg collector. So
that is interesting.
And collected eggs. Yeah, I know. Believe me, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was actually, at the end of the week, you get paid you'd only get paid something like $8 an hour, and at the end of the week, you got a free tray of cracked eggs. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was so bad. But that's what I did. Yeah, I was egg collecting. I also, I wanted to be a massage therapist. I did a massage
That's
course.
Different.
I was always fascinated in that. I weirdly still am. I love whenever anyone's "Hey, can you give me a massage?" I'm yep, I'm in. So I just enjoyed doing that course, and I just found it really interesting. And so I did that. I did a couple weird things. So but then all of that didn't fall through, so I fell back on music, and now it feels somewhat odd to be in my position now. Well, I
always find it's kind of good to do those little jobs here and there when you're younger because it just makes you so much more grateful for what you've got now.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, it's kind of funny to look back because I can still remember so clearly looking back at that and, getting on my big gum boots and heading out through all the chicken crap and stuff and thinking, this is my life. This is what I'm looking up here.
Did you know Rave It Up now has a private Facebook group where we give away regular prizes and you get to have a sneak peek at what we're up to? You'll get to see some fun behind the scenes action and can be part of the interview process yourself, just like a real journalist. So come join us and share your passion for entertainment with all of our other fans. Just search Rave It Up Community on Facebook and we look forward to getting to know you.
Did you ever take singing lessons? Because I did hear that your dad helped you, taught you how to play guitar, but, you play guitar, you write your own songs, and you're an amazing singer, so I'm like, he must have taken lessons, right?
So I did actually end up taking some lessons. I didn't really take them until after X Factor.
Interesting.
Which was, so I was 21 at this point, and it feels somewhat odd to have, a few albums out and a couple singles out, and
then you're getting singing lessons.
Now I'm getting my singing lessons. So yeah, the reason why I needed to take them is I always practice singing. So essentially, I was always giving myself lessons, and I would always, work on my voice and try and hit particular notes and work on breathing. Breathing was it's still my biggest weakness. People, who aren't singers, they think, breathing, what are you talking about? But it's
I know what you mean.
I don't have a huge lung capacity, and I'm always trying to gasp for air. I'm always short of breath when I'm singing. So I used to think, okay, I need to probably take, some lessons and really try and work on it. Because once I started touring, I realized my voice was getting sore and sore. I'm like, okay, I actually need to know how to actually maintain my voice. And I'm so glad I did it because it feels somewhat, you feel somewhat, there's some sense of pride when you're like, yeah, I've never had a singing lesson. But then you're like, okay, when your voice is starting to get destroyed, you're like, okay.
And you need it.
Put your ego aside, mate, and have some damn singing lessons. So I'm glad I did. So, yeah.
Wow, and everybody obviously remembers you from Australia's Got Talent in 2010 and then the X Factor in 2013, as you just mentioned. And I just have to bring these up quickly because not many people go on 2 talent shows. How come you decided to go on both shows? For more practice and experience and exposure?
Well, to be honest, I was 16 when I went on Australia's Got Talent. So I was really just a boy. I was a boy in high school. And music wasn't really, it honestly, the way that show started was Mum just said, why don't you go on this show? And Mum was encouraging me to do it. And I was a very shy kid when I was younger. Outside of my circle of friends, if that makes sense. I wasn't really,
I was too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just wasn't really like that. And, so that was huge for me, and I came from a really small town, a super small town. So when it came to, going on Australia's Got Talent, I just thought, all right, fine, I'll give it a crack. And I actually begged my dad to go on with me because I was too nervous. And Dad's like, I'm not going on the show with you. He was trying, and I said, please, can you please? Because the only way I'd ever performed was in my kitchen or in the lounge room with Dad, So Dad was kind of like a bit of a, we were security for each other, like a security blanket, if that makes sense. So,
yeah.
A safety blanket, a security blanket? I don't know. Anyway.
Same thing.
But, yeah, so I went on Australia's Got Talent and then I'm so glad Dad came on with me because, we really helped each other go through the show. And I guess the reason, to answer your question is why I went on 2 is after that show finished, and Dad was amazing. He kicked my ass. He came
did.
Second, I came third.
That must have been so weird.
That's all I ever hear from my mates, from everyone. Just like, yeah, you know what? Hey, you're good, but your dad is so much better. I'm like, yeah, thanks. All right, appreciate it.
That's great for my ego.
But after that show finished, I was still at school. I was in year 11. I had to do year 12 still, and so there's a couple years there of me, I can try and pursue this, but I have to finish school. I could have dropped out, but Dad was sort of he didn't even know the music industry either. And he had all this success as well that he was trying to deal with. So he sort of said to me, Tay, why don't you let me try and go through this first, then you give it a crack. And, I at the time, I remember people might have think, what? You should have gone while the iron's hot, strike while the iron's hot. And that's true. And I probably should have done that at the time. But you know what? I'm so glad I actually had time to work on my voice, to get some experience. Because the thing is, when that show's finished, you're excited because people know who you are, and it's a fulfilling, feeling. When you're walking in the street, people know who you are. But suddenly, 6 months pass by, and people sort of going, "Oh, how do I know? How do I know you?" And then a year goes past, and then people are like, "Do you play basketball with my brother or something?" People are they've already lost that kind of connection. So, it was as a kid, when you're a kid, attention is something you subconsciously are wanting, and I guess I just realized I didn't like that. I didn't like that anymore. I loved singing. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And that was my passion. After trying all my weird jobs of being an egg collector and all that kind of stuff, I just realized, this is what I really want to give. I just want to give it another crack. And I had my mates actually encouraging me when I was 20. They said, why don't you go on X Factor? Go on X Factor, because they compared AGT and X Factor, and they were sort of like, X Factor's, it's a lot more driven towards actual, vocalists and people wanting to break it into the industry, whereas AGT was a competition, whereas they
with all different talent.
There's all different talents. Yeah. At the end, you just get a money prize, and that's great. That's amazing. I might strike a deal off that, but it's X Factor was they're really trying to encourage that. They're trying to break it, and they're trying to find someone to break them out and get them a contract and really help nurture their career and help them where they just need that guidance. So I was really nervous about going on X Factor, really, really nervous because I finished third on Australia's Got Talent. Going on X Factor, if I didn't come anywhere close to third, I would have really felt like I'd failed. So I'd really set a goal in myself. I had to come second or first. And I know that's huge for me to think to kind of, but that was my mentality. It wasn't like I went in there thinking, I'm going to win. I can beat everyone. Because believe me, I didn't think that. When you're backstage and you're thinking, oh man, I'm feeling really confident with my song. I'm thinking, yeah, I've got this. And then Dami Im goes on and does her rehearsal. You think, oh, screw this, just give her the crown already. So I just had to have that sort of mentality that I had to dig deep for each performance, and I had to really give my all and really try and get to the final. And I hadn't really ever pushed myself like that before in anything in my life, whether it was working with Dad, on the building side, or I just even in school, I realized I was working so hard at this, and I just realized, man, I really want this, so I'm really glad I went on a show twice, because it was a bit of a risk, because if you do, I can understand why people go on a show if they haven't made it too far and they really want to better themselves. But to go on a show again when I've already made it to the grand final on a previous one and I've come third, it's I can understand why people would be like, what, oh, he's on a show again. Why would he?
Yeah, you don't want to be known as the talent show boy.
Yeah, I mean, what's next? The Voice?
Yeah.
What are they going to, So I knew it was a risk, and I knew that if I didn't do well, then I'm not going on a show again. I'm not doing it. It took a bit for me to do it, but I did it, and I'm glad I stuck it out, because my life has changed dramatically since. And I know it's a long time ago. I know it's 7 years ago since I was on X Factor, but my life has really changed, and I'm so grateful and blessed for the life I've had. It's been really hard. I've had some real down times. I've had some up times, but it's been amazing, and I love it, and I wouldn't change it. So, yeah.
Hey guys, it's RJ May from Breaking Bad.
Adam Savani from Step Up.
Bryce Johnson from Pretty Little Liars.
Rob Mills. Todd McKenney with Lauren Yates on Rave It Up.
These celebrities are sharing a message of hope and inspiring the younger generation in our new book, Knowing What I Know Now. This is filled with 70 quotes from your favourite celebrities on what they would tell their 14-year-old selves. A book filled with amazing advice to help you chase your dreams or help you deal with bullying or depression, and is available right now on Booktopia.
I definitely think going on the X Factor was a really good decision, because ever since then, as you said, your career has just skyrocketed. And
well, that's very nice of you to say that.
You're welcome.
I know it also. I definitely have had times in my career where I felt like, wow, like, how did I deserve this? But then there's been other times where, I've really had to work extremely hard, because it hasn't skyrocketed at all times. Like there's times when you realise, not everything. Like when you start to realise not everything you touch turns to gold. It's a nice slap of reality in terms of like singles I've brought out that haven't connected the way I was hoping, and then you start to go, okay, all right, well, so you start to, you've got to work harder. It's not like you're always going to be at the top, and it's been really interesting figuring out over these last 7 years from being on X Factor to now, and just seeing what I can do and what else I want to do with my career, and it's been scary, but it's been really fun, and it's been challenging in the best way. So yeah.
Plus, I can see that it's challenging because a lot of people, this day and age, they all want to be in the entertainment industry, and there's always new people coming in, and you've got to stay different and keep up with the competition.
Absolutely, and I'm not getting younger, so I'm 27 now. So yeah.
Well, it's still as talented as ever. That's what matters.
Lauren.
I'm here to give you compliments all day, Taylor. So after the show, you did release your self-titled debut album, and it reached number one on the IRA Albums chart. And that album included your number one debut single, Borrow My Heart, which people still listen to this day. I know I still do. It's a great song. You should be so proud. Where did this song come about for you? What was the inspiration? And was it a song that just came out of you really quickly, or did it take a while to write?
Well, the thing is, with Borrow My Heart, and as much as I'd love to take the credit for writing this song, the Borrow My Heart was actually the winner's single for X Factor.
Yep.
So the song was actually written for me.
Oh.
Well,
you make it a great song.
Well, I tell you what, I would love to say I wrote that song. It's and for about 4 years I wrote with the writers who wrote that song, which is Haley Warner, Louis Shaw, and Alex, who's just she wrote with all she's written with Troye Sivan and Jared James and all these kind of just some incredible artists, So, but yeah, the song. I remember when they showed it to me, they said, "What do you think?" And I just was like, "Man, this is for me, I thought it was so amazing." But I was so used to singing such ballady, soft songs, so I was a bit nervous because I never really recorded my voice before. So I hear and think, man, this is a hard song to sing. It's quite up tempo. It's quite, I listen to whenever I listen to a song, I think, how am I going to breathe through this song?
Yeah.
And that song was you're so short of breath the entire time. It's it's so up there. Anyway, but when I started recording the song, we were just it was so weird to see their reactions, because they're just they're in the booth listening to me, and I can see them through the window, and they're just they're shaking their head, and I'm thinking, oh no, is this really bad? And they turn their mic and they're going, you just don't know how good your voice is, do you? And I'm just
oh, that's a great compliment.
And I'm just what? I'm like, you know, I'm still not, you know, I'm still not used to this sort of
Attention?
You know, I know I'd been on a show previously, but like, I really didn't understand what, you know, just what my voice could do. And, you know, I knew I loved to sing, but I never really knew how it might affect people, whether people liked it or not. So, yeah, I just still had that doubt, and they were so beautiful to me. You know, they were really, what's the word? They were really supportive. They were really supportive, and they gave me a lot of confidence in there. And we recorded, you know, my whole originals album, which is the one that came after this first album, which really set me up, you know. So I'm really grateful to them. So,
yeah, that was Burnt Letters, wasn't it?
Burnt Letters, yeah. They were a beast. They helped me, you know, and like I always loved songwriting as well, so it was a really good team. You know, they like when I would give ideas or I'd come up with songs, I was never sure, and they were like, Taylor, this is really good. Like, you keep going with that. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I was always in doubt, but yeah, they really encouraged me, and that's how I really learned how to songwrite. Like, yeah, I've loved songwriting ever since. So yeah,
that's good that you had that support system and to keep you going and bring that confidence up.
Absolutely, it definitely helps, and I can say that with any artist that ever wants to, like, you know, write songs. You can second guess things because you're thinking about the melody, but you're also thinking about the chords, and you're thinking, you know, oh, is this the right, you know, key? Is this, you know, are these the right lyrics to portray? Like, you know, there's so many things to think about, and usually like I would write something and I think I've got to change it. They go, no, that's really good. Like, and we just sort of work on it together, and they were just, you know, yeah, they were just amazing.
This show is brought to you by Vegas Nights, specializing in all of your party needs. They have photo booths, poker tables, and decorations for heaps of different party themes. Visit their website now at vegasnights.com.au or give them a call on 1300 135 394. Vegas Nights, you can't lose.
Back in 2018 as well, you did announce on Twitter that you are officially an independent artist. How have you found being independent now compared to having a label behind you? I always hear that it's a lot more work since you have to do it all on your own.
Yes. Oh, that would be definitely the case.
That must be so scary when you first go independent too.
It was scary. It was scary because it was a bit of a shock. Like, I loved my years at Sony. I had a beautiful time with them, and they you know, I can't be where I am today without them, you know. So, but it was a shock because I was a little bit blindsided. It just sort of came out of the blue, and that I was no longer with the label, and I would have been okay, but it just, because it was a bit out of the blue, it was very, you know, just felt quite abrupt, and I used to, you know, I suffer from lots of anxiety and stuff like that, so that stuff didn't really help.
Yeah.
It doesn't help when the one, you know, so, but you know, it took me a while to announce that. It took me a few months to actually collect myself and go, okay, I've got to announce that I'm independent, because people kept asking me for this, because I originally had an album coming out with Sony that never got released. It was called One More Minute, and
fans obviously noticed.
Yeah, I know. Well, the good thing now is I'm recording all the, like, for example, I released a song, you know, I'm probably jumping ahead of your question, sorry, but I released a song called Moving On, and that originally was a song that was going to be on the album. But I'm so glad I didn't release the album, because I got to re-record it, and if you had have heard the one that was going to be released, it was like, it wasn't good. like I got to record it the way I really wanted to record it, and I'm so happy. So being independent is an amazing thing, because you do get to call the shots, you know, and I think as I've gotten older, I've enjoyed, you know, just saying, actually, no, I don't want to do this, or like, oh, actually, no, I love this. Yeah, let's do that. Or if I want to go do a tour that runs around Australia, I can. I book, because I book all those venues. I pay for all the accommodation. I sort out all the travel. I sort out all my musicians, and it's a lot of work, but I'm so glad I now know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel overwhelmed by it. Like, it's a lot of work and it's stressful, but it's kind of like when you've achieved something on your own, you get this kind of like, oh man, I did that. Like, it's
new appreciation.
It's really fun. And I can't, like, I've got a nice little team with me. Like, it's a small team. It's just me and my manager, and then I've got another guy, Frank, who works with my with Michael, my manager, and we just we kind of bounce off each other in the way that he sorts out a couple of things, I sort out the other, so we're kind of like our own little working mini label at the same time.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being independent. I don't get me wrong though, I would love to one day maybe be back with, I never thought I'd say this, but I probably want to be back with a label at some point, because I just know how amazing they can be to your career. It's they've got a lot to offer with getting you on radio and getting your music out there. That's something that's super powerful. And it took me a long time to say that, because I felt quite burnt afterwards. But I also learnt a lot of things. When you go independent, you start to ask yourself questions. You're like, okay, why? Like, why did this happen? And I just realised I could be a difficult person sometimes, and without it. It's true though. Like, I was like, I could be like, I was humbly stubborn, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that makes any kind of, like, I didn't realize it because I had no idea. I was just a kid. That was riding this wave. And when you're handed something as amazing as what I was given, like, your whole life is turned upside down. And, it's like you're feeling so blessed, but you're just like, you're on top of the world, and when you're like that, I started to realize that, reflecting now, I probably just took some people for granted, and without me realizing, and I just, and it's luckily, I've messaged a lot of people now, and I've just let them know, and I've actually mended a lot of relationships just by letting them know I'm so sorry for making them ever feel like I was, because they were so understanding. They were like, look, you're a kid, you were riding this wave, and we understand, and it's just been a real learning curve, because this industry can be brutal, and so but it's been really fun, and it's taught me a lot of lessons, and it's been great.
Oh, well, hopefully this interview will help get us, get you exposure for another label. Come on, labels.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I've talked too much.
I'm loving these little behind-the-scenes stories that probably no one else has heard. So thank you for giving us a little sneak peek.
You're so welcome. No problem.
Do you love the world of entertainment? And do you love writing? Well, you could be perfect to join Rave It Up. We are currently looking for talented new writers to write for our website, raveituptv.com. You must speak fluent English and be passionate about everything entertainment, from celebrities to movies and music. If you're interested, please email us at info@raveituptv.com.
And I have to bring up, because one of your biggest musical influences is Ed Sheeran, and that is why before COVID happened, you were embarking on the A-Team tour, the Best of Ed Sheeran. And unfortunately, you had to cancel the remainder of your tour after only 4 shows in. That must have sucked so much. Are you planning on continuing where you left off when you can safely do so?
Yeah, absolutely. We've already got them, like, a lot of dates locked in for 2021, which is really great.
Woo-hoo.
So basically, this has been another exciting thing, is like, with the A-Team tour, it's something we just wanted to try. I loved Ed Sheeran, and it's a combination of both my songs and songs that have inspired me to write my own, as well as Ed. So, I was 4 shows into like a 40-date tour. We had 40 dates booked. We only sort of released about 16, but we had 40 booked.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. I was like, oh, great.
Are you going to do all 40 again, or are you going to ignore the first 4 you already did?
We are. And we're going to try and book, hopefully book some, we're I guess, yes, sorry, to answer your question, yes. And this has been the exciting thing is, because usually people, something like that happens, they want a refund, or they want to know about, like, when's it getting rescheduled? But usually people just want their money back. And me and my manager were thinking, oh no, like 40 shows, like we've got to sort out a lot of people.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
And it's been such a blessing because, like, I'm not kidding, out of 40 shows, there's only been one person who's asked for their money back because they couldn't get to the rescheduled show. So it's been really, really good so far. So out of 40 shows, having only one person wanting to reschedule, have a refund it's been amazing. So
thank you, fans.
Yeah.
And since COVID has, really affected your tour, I'd love to chat to you about COVID and how you've been actually getting through, since I know a lot of our listeners have been struggling. What have you been doing, especially mental health-wise? I'm sure that kind of gave you a little bit of a knockback after all your 40 dates were cancelled.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. Like, but the thing is, the music industry, like, it can come and go in waves. So, not to sound like I know people have had a really hard time, but I'm used to having all of a sudden having a month that's just flat out. You think, okay, I'm touring this whole month. I'm not going to be home, and then all of a sudden you come back home, and then you've got 3 weeks of doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
and then you've got another 2 weeks of solid recording, and then I might have, like, the next month might have not much on, but I've got one corporate gig that pays really well, and that's kind of, and then I'm back on tour again, or then I'm used to having that sort of inconsistency, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and you probably needed a bit of time off.
Yeah. Well, having a very consistent inconsistency is kind of like a blessing in disguise for COVID, because I know how to be productive when I've got nothing on, if that makes sense. So
that is a good thing.
Yeah, so it's been good, but it definitely has had its challenges. Like one thing that I love doing is, like, when I'm not doing music or recording or touring or anything that's music based, I'm extremely sport orientated. Like, I play so much sport. Like, I play basketball 8 times a week. I play volleyball. I play tennis. I play footy. Like, I play lots of sport, and it's been that's probably been the hardest thing for me, is like I like all my teams, with no one can play anymore.
Yeah.
And so I've just resulted in eating. so I'm just dying to play.
You can lose the kilos later.
I know. It's probably why I haven't been the most active on social media. I'm like, oh no, I don't want people to see, I'm like.
Well, people would probably relate to it, so I don't know why you didn't post it.
Oh well, I'm working out a lot more now, so you'll probably see more of me, and I'll be doing a lot more videos and stuff like that. So that'll be good. So yeah.
And more original music too. Can we look forward to?
I'm literally after this interview, I'm heading straight up to the studio, and where I'm recording a brand new song, which I've toured all around the country. So when I go on tours, what I do, I always play new songs, and I get a feel for what the audience like.
Mm.
And it's been really amazing. Like I've been so happy, because most, really, not to, toot my horn, but all these new songs I've been just trying out have resonated so well, and it's been really hard to pick one. But this next song has really got such a good response from people when I'm touring, and I'm really excited to get it out there. So it's a bit different. It's a little bit throwback style.
Ooh.
And it's very it explores a different range in my voice, and it's just very feel good, and which is hard for me to write. I usually write the most depressing songs ever. So for me to write a song that generally makes me feel good and would make the audience feel good is kind of like it's a huge achievement for me, because it's like when you hear "Borrow My Heart." It's a very upbeat tempo song. It's it makes you feel good. This is it does that, but it's in a completely different style, and it's exploring different ranges of my voice, and I'm just really excited to get out there. I'm recording with a guy called Daniel Kellart, who's all I do is record with him now. He is incredible. So he's from Melbourne. He's amazing. So yeah,
Awesome. Well, looking forward to it. Can you share the song title at all?
I can. It's called Lucky. It's called
Ooh.
Lucky.
And we're lucky to hear it. No pun intended.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. Yeah, I'm excited. So,
Oh, we're excited too. Oh, good luck. What a busy day for you. Interview, then
I know.
then recording.
I know, and then eating.
And then eating. Yeah, that's your treat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview, Taylor. It's been so much fun and really informative. But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
I honestly, I'd say don't overthink things. I don't overthink things. To be honest, I'm still telling my 27-year-old self this.
That, yeah.
So, I would overthink everything. Just, you'll be fine. It's okay. Just do what you love. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. And just be good to those around you, So that's what I would say, and don't take people for granted.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's good advice for everybody.
Yeah.
And before we go, if the listeners would like to contact you or find out what you're up to in the future, where should they go?
Oh, well, my number is
Everyone get your pens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always active on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So literally, like, all of them they're all just Taylor Henderson. Like, there's nothing weird. Like, there's no underscores or no numbers in them. It's just Taylor Henderson.
Easy to find you. You could probably just type your name into Google and it would come up.
Actually, I may have lied. My Twitter has got a 0 in Taylor Henderson, if that makes sense.
Because someone else had Taylor Henderson. How dare they?
Yeah, I know. They stole my name. Damn it. But yeah. So I'm always active there, and I can't wait to share more things with you guys. So new songs coming at you, and
we can't wait to see it and hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Taylor. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Yeah, well, you're welcome on the show anytime. So if you want to come back on and chat about anything, let me know.
Done. I'm all yours.
You have my number now, so let me know, and hopefully next time we can have a chat in person. That'll be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah,
maybe you could do a live performance or something for us. That would be great.
All right, done. I'll bring the guitar in.
And we'll jam. John, let's keep in contact and we'll make it happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Lauren. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. If you want to be the first to get every new episode, remember to subscribe to this podcast for free. Just search for Rave It Up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share it with your friends. And tell us what you loved the most, and even let us know what you want to hear on this podcast. You can even check out the videos of our interviews on our YouTube channel, Rave It Up TV. And for more, visit our website, raveituptv.com. Now, before I leave you today, I just want you to remember that you are loved and you are beautiful. Bye!